didn't go into his favor. But NIP hovering the zeri already saw from game 1 how important Photic on a carry is, and I mean zeri is perfect for that.
Zeri is definitely perfect. Annie does slip through the bans though, as the Maokai is the final one to come out from NIP, so definitely curious to see if that's going to be Creme or PP God. I would prefer to see it on someone like PP God. Just feel like he does a fair bit of kind of use when given something on that support role, especially knowing that the zeri is going into Photic's hands now on the bot side. You would imagine that they will be going for something like the Lulu here, because it could technically still be an anti-flex to that mid lane. OMG,
I love Zeri Lulu. Yay! Yeah. Zeri Lulu. Hey, let's go, boys. He picked Lulu. Whoa!
I'm just saying, I'm just glad we're not like the LCK, where it's literally Nami Lucian, Zeri Lulu, someone gets Vi, someone gets Wukong.
Hey,
at least we have some kind of this, yeah, like it
could potentially be flex mid, and we see a Lucian Nami for this game 3. Come on, Abel. PP got duo for the boys. Zeri, Lulu, Lucian, Nami. Aphelios is going to get locked in for Abel, however. He's coming in with a lot of freaky picks. I mean, with the Samira getting locked in for game 2 and the Aphelios getting locked in for game 3. But when it does come to 2v2 sense, I think Zeri is just the better version of you.
Yeah, well, I will say, yeah, in terms of raw damage output, absolutely agree. The one little caveat I'll give is that if you get a good Gravitum ultimate available to you, you can kind of become the engage, if you will, for your team. So we'll see what ends up working out, but we weren't far away from the Nami Lucian and the, the junglers of Wukong and Vi being traded over there. So we're going to go back to a little bit of the norm that we've seen. In fairness, hell of a lot of junglers banned away in this particular game. So 4 out of the 6 that we have on the table right now were banned away. And now we go into the second half. And this time around, OMG, they haven't shown their solo laners too early. They've gone back to what everyone else is doing and just kind of securing that very solid bot jungle setup.
It does seem like NIP is just going to narrow down the top lane pool by banning out that Rumble, perhaps even another counter pick, like if they do take the Sound in this instance. Once again, I mean, the Sound worked perfectly for them in game 2, paired along something like the Vi, just a lot of frontline for the Zeri to pop up in those team fights. But OMG, we saw Shanji playing the Ksante from game 1, and it worked really well as well, where you're able to displace the enemy backline and really get the team fights going as well. But mid lane is definitely a question mark. We have a lot of champions available, something like the Azir. Ryze definitely is a viable option as well, but it really depends on what Creme is going to play, because I think Creme definitely has a lot of carry potential for OMG.
I mean, Creme, even in that game number 2, which they lost, was the beacon, if you will, for the side of OMG, and it is definitely a good spot to be in if you can get him some pretty big carries. We haven't seen the Sylas ban just yet. We actually haven't seen Sylas a lot really at all during the last few weeks of play, but the Ryze looks like it's going to be going back on the Pout. Again, it's not a bad pickup if they want to go for it, but I feel like blinding the Ksante is definitely not it, considering that we know what Creme can do with a Tristana, so I do agree that the Ryze is a better pick.
Yep, Ksante probably isn't going to get considered here because there's just way too much kill threat with the Vi getting locked in for NIP in this game 3. But we saw the Ryze, I believe, for game 1 on Pout, and it didn't do extremely well. We were begging for some tower dives towards that bottom lane, or at least if you have a winning top side, go towards that top side. But every Ryze, unless it's in the hands of someone that is literally top 1 or 2 in the mid lane position, using that as a kind of cheating tempo, a CSing farming mechanic, I guess. Not enough plays on the sides though.
Not enough. The Sion taken away. Doesn't want to be given over that to Invincible, who, as we mentioned, was just a fridge in that last game. The Sylas does get locked in here. So again, this is one of Creme's very comfortable champions. We've seen how well he can do with this. And with something like the Lulu and Vi ult already available to him, it makes engaging very much a combination that he can go with someone like Aki.
Lock it in, Invincible. Lock it in. Ship it out. Go for that ego champion. Yes, something like the Fiora. You save this counter pick for top lane. Get something that is extremely hard winning into the Ksante. Ksante has been nerfed on patch 13.3, where in the later stage, when you do pop that ultimate, it went from 60% to 85%. So you will never be winning a 1v1 if this Fiora gets out of control. I am enjoying this third game match.
I mean, this is looking very good for NIP. You're looking at the kind of the building blocks of what they want to go for. Something that Zhuo can have parity on, to protect Photic. Photic on a hyper carry for those late game fights. And then just straight up, as you mentioned, Invincible on something that can just go toe-to-toe with a very standard tank matchup in that top side. So very, very excited as soon as we possibly can. We got to figure out where this one goes. For the moment, it is going to be OMG looking to bring themselves up to 5-4. It would be a nice place to be. Just starting off your second half of the split with a win, but NIP are running out of games. This is their 10th series. This is a big moment. The difference between 3-7 and 4-6. OMG have some serious crowds and serious fans in the crowd.
Jayo! Of course, to both teams, the series is currently 1-1, where NIP, third game in a row, they are looking very dominant and prioritizing this bot lane Bush priority. But like we've been seeing, we saw this Wukong work extremely well for the side of OMG for that game 1. I mean, hopefully NIP learned their lessons and they won't be playing towards those chokes, because from what we saw from game 2, these two teams are pretty even when it comes to the late game.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to straight up 5v5ing, it does feel like neither side has a significant advantage as we do jump in. Oh. Bit of an abscond, bit of an abduct, and a bit of a trade back in the mid lane. But curious to see now where both these junglers are going to be going right now. We could see just straight up full clears into a dragon setup or a Rift Herald dragon trade. It's generally what we do end up having right now. Aki is considered to be the better of the early game junglers, considering the Wukong into the Vi matchup, but not always to be. How you play it off, and we'll come back in to kind of see where they want to try and make this one work. Invincible kind of putting down some serious work already here onto Shanji, and getting a little bit unfortunate with those vital procs that are being faced away from him, but already really punishing here, kind of showing exactly what you were talking about, that you can just take this Fiora into this Ksante matchup, and Ksante does not just have a free line matchup anymore.
Yeah, both junglers are, however, in this top side, though, so if Invincible isn't too careful, I'm pretty sure Aki will be making a visit to this top side. Really good zoning, however. I mean, Shanji only has 6 CS in his pockets, where he is missing out on some of that minion XP. Just hit level 2, but just looking at how these items are starting out, Abel went with the Cole. Not a lot of action is going to be expected out of this bottom lane, but I think the main focus is going to be this mid lane 2v2.
Exactly as you say it. You can see it there kind of being set up. Aki is just hovering. They now know that he is there. They haven't seen XLB though, so no confirmed 2v2 in that mid lane. Is Invincible doing so well just to keep Shanji underneath the tower. And honestly, Shanji might just have to go back. This is not a good play for him. He needs to TP back in because the wave's in such a terrible spot. He can't really stay though.
He is chugging his health pods. Still has a cookie available, but his wave is slowly building towards the side of NIP. I think he just has to back and force that TP out, because your lane state is terrible from how the level 1 went out. But there is going to be some action in this bottom river. Xiaolongbao is going to get egoed off this first scuttle as Annie gets the rotation first with that stun available. So Xiaolongbao is going to try and look for the other side of the map, where Invincible is hard winning that matchup.
Yeah, and it's going to be a little bit harder for Shanji to have the lane dominance that he was picking up in the last few times. But this time around, Invincible gets to show what he can do. Both bot lanes very happy to kind of farm up like this. Nothing really too crazy for them to kind of go for. Abel picking up the Cole means that he's just pushing himself forward as best he possibly can, making sure that he's not losing too many of these little minions. We're going to have a bit of a slow early game right now. No one really wants to give the mistake that ends up losing you the game.
Yeah, but when we do reach the third game territory, a lot of these teams start getting a little bit scared with how these early skirmishes go, because you definitely don't want to be throwing at the 5-minute mark. However, NIP will definitely be happy in that situation, as they have 3 hard scaling champions, but this time the Ryze does have a Fiora in the side lane that does have that extra bit of damage in these team fights.
Shanji went back, TP'd back in, and is going to have to just kind of accept that this is his laning phase for the next while. Actually, only picks up a load of consumables, doesn't even really have enough money to gain anything, so it's still the exact same matchup for Invincible. He's not laning against someone with an extra cloth armor or boots or anything like that. He is just dealing with the way the matchup has kind of put itself. Pout did TP back in, but Creme matched them. They are trading back, but this is the problem. Once you use your first initial setup here as Creme, you don't really have a way of trading back. And with the phase rush available to Pout, he's able to kind of just keep him at arm's length.
Most definitely. I mean, these solo laners are going to be a crucial point on how this early game goes. I mean, Invincible just building that wave in, already a 30 CS lead. However, this stacked wave is going to go into the hands of Shanji. I don't even think he can get it because he's just going to continue trading. Oh, he's going to get a plate instead. Yeah.
Not going to go for it. Doesn't have vision and actually has zero idea of where Aki is. With Aki coming back with a Sheen, it is risky to say the least that he could go for it. Actually, I think Aki just skirted around that vision, around that brush as well. So that's going to be OMG picking up the first dragon of the game. So it's been a bit of a tentative start for the moment, but so far so good for, I'd say, honestly, both sides of this kind of matchup. I feel like both teams are happy with the way things are going. It will be annoying right now once you get that notification that the dragon has died. God, I was just going to say, I remember a time when dragons didn't get notified globally. Ooh, Photic. This is cleanse.
Something happened.
I know. And then we'll go back to whatever we were talking about.
I mean, cleanse does get burned from the side of NIP, but I need to stress this, that if this Fiora gets too fed out of just laning phase, I mean, OMG doesn't really have a response to a strong Fiora side lane pressure, because you only have a Sylas and Ksante that don't really match well. You definitely don't want the Aphelios in the side lane, so you can't let Invincible do whatever he wants in this top lane. I think Aki needs to bail him out.
Yeah, I think Aki's going to have to give some TLC up to this top side. Otherwise, this it's not going to get any better. And this Fiora will just become unstoppable. Already got the grand challenge, so picking up 2 plates solo is very nice indeed for the Fiora as they try and build up towards being that monster in the side lanes. As we now see the XLB is up here in the top lane, just making sure they have priority over this Rift Herald before it spawns in 50 seconds time. And it's going to be a slow start, Kitty. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We're not going to have a lot to talk about. I imagine this Rift Herald's also just going to go over to NIP because you have no priority top side. So here's an interesting question. I'm going to throw to you. What was the champion that was just most recently released when you started playing League of Legends?
Oh, I will remember this forever because I started playing League when I was 10. And the first champion login skin was Zac, and that guy is just a piece of blob, and he was so scary as a 10-year-old. I was scarred.
You started playing when you were 10? God damn.
I know, it's something that I'm not very proud of because I am now 20 and I've been playing League for half my life. But yeah, Zac, what about you?
You can still go pro. Playing since you're 10-year-old, you can still go pro.
It's never too late, Copium.
No, and never too. Look at Faker, you know? I think it's like, wasn't there a quote from Carrier recently? I'm actually going to stop myself with that quote. As Abel doesn't get hit right now by anything. Trying to just clear out this wave. Does get polymorph. It gets dove. First blood. Nicely done there by NIP. Very cleanly done on top of the AD carry of OMG.
ADC was just caught out alone under his own tower. I mean, with the amount of lockdown from Xiaolongbao in this bottom dive, that clean kill goes over towards the side of NIP. Getting into VODS pockets, however, I would have liked it onto the Zeri, but you can't really shoot behind a tower, so they just had to get it and dip. However, that does mean this Aphelios gets set a little bit behind in terms of CS, especially with the cold start. Definitely something you don't want to be happening. And Zeri is going to, you know, I'm not Zeri biased or anything, or I'm not brainwashed, but when it does reach the later game of the stage, Zeri's gonna go cuckoo.
Zeri will just become indestructible, you would imagine. As because of that bot lane dive, though, I do have to correct myself. Because of the bot lane dive, OMG end up having themselves a Rift Herald. So they're actually 2 objectives up, comparatively to NIP, who decided to go for the stop the stacking on the Aphelios. I will say Abel's still doing a very good job, to be perfectly honest, right now. So actually, interesting enough, we're seeing a bit of a switch right now. Ksante's had enough. Shanji is done with this top lane matchup, and he doesn't want to deal with it anymore. They may try to just burst out Invincible and look for a kill, but I think Invincible knows they're going for a little bit of a swap because it's taking too long for Shanji to get back in here. And now
but they're
PP
going
gods,
for it.
they're looking for him. They're going to try and find
Cancelled?
him. Flash in is going to be used. That's very smart there from Invincible. He knows that if he gets caught out there, he's going to lose more than just his flash.
He dipped just out of vision, so Annie wasn't able to land that Q stun onto Invincible, but the bot lane swap going to this top lane now. Herald is going to get dropped here because Invincible can't 1v3, although very ahead on this Fiora. He hasn't backed yet, so it is going to be a little bit tough. He is just going to watch the tower die in front of his eyes. I mean, Zeri is going to pick up the same amount of plates. However, just two
Got a Rift Herald. You've got a Rift Herald to finish this one off. So this is going to be the full tower going over. And this is honestly just great adaptation coming out from OMG. They recognize, look, we're going to lose plates either way. So let's just make sure that we're gaining a lot more from this. And you can see there with the Rift Herald, Shelly getting to do her favorite thing in the world. You just can't keep up with the pace. They're going to keep going with this. No one has responded just yet from the side of NIP. So they know that they're still a 3v2. So they can just push this right in, get a charge down, the tower down to half HP. Very nicely done by OMG.
2 charges from this Herald, absolute stonks. I mean, PP Gold was just holding onto his stun the entire time, so NIP definitely getting a little bit scared, but I was saying Photic realistically can get the same amount of plates. However, OMG is already rotating to this dragon that is spawning.
Shanji just going to have to accept he's a bit of a pinata at the moment. People are going to be whacking him for the next while. But it's all in the pursuit of Abel getting himself up to that Gale Force, being more relevant than this Zeri. And honestly, with the fully stacked Cull already, he is doing fantastically there. You can see him sitting on nearly 2,000 gold. Has himself a 400 gold lead. And that is just straight up having that Cull stacking up. You get the money back from it, and it's just going to be a little bit more of a setup. I will say Photic will pick himself up a full plate and tower for himself, so he'll bring that gold right back up in terms of equality, and they should be able to both reset and get themselves their first items.
However, Zhuo did end up in this bottom side first, so they do have a pink ward there, but you can't really ever face check into something like the Wukong and Annie. It's just way too dangerous, especially when you have a full scaling composition. So this first or second dragon is going to go in the hands of OMG as Creme picks up 2 plates.
He's up 2 plates himself, and this is getting very much more like less than what we thought it would be, honestly. Like, you look at the first 2 games, it was very, you know, team fight heavy, teams just kind of throwing everything they had at each other to make sure they could get whatever they could out of the advantages of being just better players. Now it's looking more like a macro game. It's looking like who can get the push and pull going for themselves a lot better. And this is just a much stronger showing from OMG, kind of taking a much more relaxed tone with this particular thing. And honestly, it's a different setup, but it's nice to see them kind of, you know, looking to be a bit more composed and just controlled in this game.
Yeah, I mean, this early game is pretty slow, similar to game 2, but I can't stress enough that the Ksante is back to matching this Fiora, and we saw how much of a bully Invincible was on this Fiora, especially in the early game. I mean, this Ksante is just going to continuously bleed until you start forcing those mid-game skirmishes with something like the Wukong and Silas, who can steal the ultimates like the Ryze and Vi to engage. And I think that's where you really start getting the leads rolling. But you can't be letting Invincible just get all that CS and side lane push for the side of OMG.
No, you really can't. And we'll wait to see what anything kind of happens right now. I don't really see Shanji or Invincible really dying without any outside intervention coming out. As next Rift Herald going to be spawning in 50 seconds. Remember, it's been all OMG in terms of the neutrals. They've been getting themselves all the dragons and the first Herald as well. As a little note, we are still on 13.3. Should be going to 13.4 tomorrow, though. So it's our final day on this particular patch. We can say goodbye. Yeah, I know. It's a little sad. I don't know why it is, but it is. As we might see some changes. Riley and Saul's going to be enabled tomorrow. Very excited for that. See if we get some crazy teams. I know it's like most teams don't generally go for the crazy stuff, but LPL sometimes do, and that's what I relish that, you know? I'm excited. What are you excited for 13.4?
We saw Lilia top lane for the previous game. You know what I'm excited for? I'm excited to see Yuumi revive and for her to just curse the entire meta again.
No!
A fight, however, 14 minutes.
Yeah, 14 minutes. We're going to see a fight coming in straight in. We're going to see they're trying to get the cease and desist, the wild growth to keep XLB alive, but the all out to bring them all in. Shanji gets a kill. Never mind, it's PP got to pick it up right at the end. Creme is finally joined in. Abel not in a great spot, and Abel gets assassinated by Pout, who flashed forward. It's a 1-for-1 at the end of it all, but you will lose so many summoners on both sides, and I think NIP are still coming out on top of this. Oh,
another ultimate.
Down. Invincible, not quite able to get taken down yet. He is still one of the tankier members. And finally, this game does explode into life.
Finally, some action on the Rift as Abel does trade as a response for the jungler of NIP. However, I think it's much more worth putting the ADC plan from OMG instead of putting it the jungler. I mean, it was just a really good engage from PB God as he lands the ultimate onto Vi, and I think he just cut the play here. But Pout just got a really good angle into the carry of this Aphelios, and he flashes over, gets the root down as well, and Abel does fold as a response due to a late flash.
And look, despite everything happening there, you don't have any real ultimates now available to you as NIP, so you're going to have to just kind of concede this Rift Herald. You're happy enough letting Pout just push in that bot side. But OMG still having the numbers game in terms of the objectives now. Minute 20 until that dragon spawns with having the Rift Herald available. Oh,
the raptor!
And all her children are dead. So why did you not kill me as well? You shall live with the consequences of my actions.
I guess plus 60 gold into Zeri's pockets is enough, but it's okay.
I like creating random backstories for jungle monsters, as if they have any choice in the matters. We are going to come back in. It's very tragic. We see Abel a little bit behind in terms of levels right now. It's only about a couple of minions, actually a minion, I think, until he gets up to level 10, so should be able to kind of equal it back up. But first items across the board. Rod of Ages stacking up for both Creme and Pout. Actually, Creme finished his slightly earlier, and there is a stopwatch here on Creme as well, so might be seeing a big fight right now in this mid game as they look to try and contest. This would be Soul, and for Ksante and a Silas, getting a Ocean Soul can be massive. Aki's just walking forward, not really afraid of Photic, as they drop down the Rift Herald with 12 seconds to go until the dragon.
That doesn't break the tower, however, and I believe that NIP does have vision control. Photic getting caught though.
Here we go, they're going to look for a fight. Photic cleanses and flashes away, pops down the lightning crash. And a TP comes in as well. Abel still looking to be aggressive with these chakrams. Has himself the Severum as well. So red-white wants to fight, but nobody dies, but you've lost both summoners now on your AD carry.
NIP is extremely low for the next 5v5, however. Invincible compared to something like Ksante isn't going to offer as much when it comes to just pure 5v5 CC. So it does look like NIP is in a bit of a tough situation.
Well, so far NIP are just keeping Photic topped up. He was very low, but he's got an Immortal Shield bow, so he's got plenty of lifesteal. If he can just keep hitting off on those minion waves, no one's going to be able to get anything off of that. Invincible was looking for a bit of a flank, and will still be on it right now. Photic gets himself over the wall, but then now you've lost all control around this Dragon Pit. That's going to be Soul here. Because look, I didn't even notice XLB had to reset. He's not here right now. And you're looking for a fight. They're going to get the blast cone over. Photic and Zhuo still about half HP. They're going to pop in a little bit of damage, but that dragon is almost certainly going to be going down. It's reset a little bit. They're going to get in. XLB's not there in time, and now he needs to get himself out. Creme! Knock up with the stolen wild growth. Photic trying to do something. Zhuo flashes, but it's only to get you into a new position, your new grave, if you will. And now Invincible, he's going to be able to dash his way out. He should be fine to survive, but you know who won't? The Zeri, who's going straight underneath that tower, dies to Aki after being executed. And now, with only a minute until the Baron, they can't really take that objective. How? Why are you TPing into the mid lane?
Well, that just means the tower is going to fall as a result of that as well. The third dragon going to the hands of OMG, and Baron spawning in 1 minute. I mean, Xiao Longbao just wasn't there for the play. He was 5 seconds too late as he got poked out earlier. And Creme landing the nastiest Lulu I've ever seen in my life. A self-engage from the Silas. However, but when it does come to these 5v5s, we already see the value of a Fiora, where she isn't able to do too much. I mean, 2 seconds too late on the smite as well, where Talonbot gets poked down as well. And just the nastiest Lulu ult to start everything. And Photic already extremely low, so he does get cleaned up later as well. But just the amount of CC from OMG's team composition, Wukong, Ksante, this is exactly what they're trying to look for, and NIP is giving them that.
Yeah, I mean, Photic tried his very best. He even loses the cooldown, the Immortal Shield Bow. It's not going to make any difference, but it just feels bad. Coming back off the back of that. Now Infinity Edge finished up for the Aphelios. Able very much online now with this late game kind of scaling carry. Photic a little bit behind in that regard. Well, still has a Phantom Dancer, but definitely not as much power in the punch. So we can see Shanji just kind of able to go toe-to-toe now with Invincible. Invincible can't really kill this guy, and yes, the Ksante is nerfed, and Invincible is doing very well in that matchup, but Ksante's doing his job. He's keeping them away from the rest of the team.
Shanji definitely revived a little bit after that winning team fight where he has caught up in items just a little bit, and in terms of experience. However, I do believe Invincible is currently sitting on 0-0-0 in terms of that scoreline, so OMG in the driver's seat once again, getting that vision control as the Sylas and Annie that can just engage whenever they want. So NIP needs to tread very carefully.
Very, very scared about this next fight. It's only a 2,000 gold lead, but you've already got soul point available here for the side of OMG. NIP desperate to keep themselves in. Remember, we talked about it a little bit earlier. You're at your 10th series. To go 3-7 after 10 games or 10 series with only 6 left, that is so difficult to really say that you're going to be able to make it up. It's not impossible, but it's definitely not the ideal situation. Whereas OMG 5-4, even going after 10 series after this, if you go 5-5, you're in such a stronger position, just even mentally, because you know you've already got wins in the bag, and that's where a lot of these wins come out from. It's kind of an interesting one we always see compared in football. It's not about winning every single game 3-4, 5-0. It's about having bad games or bad series that you still come out and win, because even then you're still getting W's in that column. You're still pushing yourself further and further up, and it proves that despite you having a bad game, you're still getting the wins.
Yeah, OMG, I mean, they defeated both TT and IG, who are both above them in terms of the standing, and they didn't drop a single loss. So it does say that OMGs, I mean, with this roster, they are very promising, currently being in that 10th position as well, barely making it and to secure that player spot as we approach it very, very soon. But this win matters so much for both sides. I mean, OMG struggling to stay in the range of playoffs, and NIP struggling to get into that spot for playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you're looking at a team who's 4-5 and a team who's 4-6, there's only one loss between them. So this is a massive moment here for OMG and NIP, and even looking at NIP's kind of next few games or sorts like that, they of course have FPX later on this week. That's a semi-decent game that they could definitely win. BLG, honestly, I could see them winning that as well. BLG are such a coin flip at sometimes. And then they only really have one very difficult game left. It's Weibo in week 9. Around there, it's WE, RNG, IG. They're very winnable games here for NIP, but they need to start it here. They need to take the win here. And now Creme.
Oh, Creme, a little bit caught.
Oh, he's gotten caught. He's going to go straight into stasis and just try and delay a little bit more. The TP's going to be the Ksante, who tries to go all out and tries to maybe make this one work. He needs to get on top of it. He can!
They're out!
Oh, my lord. It looked like he just about was on the edge. Maybe not able to get out, but he does end up getting it. They even get the wild grove out of Zhuo, who wanted a little bit of CC, but now you're not in position for this dragon. It's spawning in 10 seconds, Kitty.
Yeah, Dragon Soul with the Ocean. I mean, OMG already there first because they struggled to get the pick on top side. But Creme just got out scratch free. I mean, just start the Baron because you already lost this priority in this bot side. Flip something, NIP.
I mean, it looks like they're going to flip it, but I don't even think they're going to be able to flip it in time. They'll use the Realm Warp. There's a ward on this. They will take this down very, very quickly. The dragon should just be going down the next second or two. Creme is there. He steals away the wild growth. Now they've got Opki sprinting in. He catches them in. They're going to be able to secure it, but can they get out? Invincible is the target, and I really like this from the side of from NIP. They trade back the Baron, and they get everybody out. Nobody dies. Good decision here from NIP, but they do lose the soul.
Exactly what I'm looking for, Oshin. You already lost that vision for the dragon. Just go for something that's on the other side, and that was Baron. A little bit of a breather, especially for a scaling composition. I mean, this Fiora with the Baron is going to do lots in that side lane. However, you need to start getting that heal cut into your pockets because you have a Sylas, you have a Wukong, and that Ocean Soul in the side of OMG now. So we already have a bit of heal cut from Vi and Lulu, but is it going to be enough before the Fiora gets to do something in the side lane?
It's tough. NIP not a million miles away in terms of the goal, but It does feel like OMG have total control. The extra stats from those dragons equal to about 800 or so, maybe even 1,000 each. So you're looking at a unseen gold lead. You would imagine the Ksante now very powerful with that Ocean Soul, as well as the Silas. And Aki hovering in this top side, hasn't really decided to do anything just yet. Invincible sitting off to the side will be spotted out and just making sure he defends that pink ward with the rest of his life. And you got to be very careful with this Ocean Rift. You got plenty of extra brushes and whatnot to be able to cover you for. And honestly, minute 30 till the next till the Baron wears off, I don't really see NIP getting much further. They're so short ranged, and I think everyone's just kind of at a point now on the side of OMG where they have the items to deal with you.
Yeah, I already see the 131 from NIP, however, so if PB God does want to engage in that middle lane, he has the flash available and Tithers, so it will be a very easy team fight for OMG to take. However, if you just continuously match up against this Fiora without being proactive on the other side, I mean, you have to make two very tough decisions. Either kill the Fiora or kill the mid lane.
Yeah, Photic would love to take this tower. Should give him enough gold to finish off his Infinity Edge, and still needs to be careful. Abel is online and ready to go, looking towards his Bloodthirster at the moment. NIP trying to see if they can overload top side. Again, it's a Ksante, very difficult to really get this one going for yourself, and it's just a bit of a vision battle. It's been a slow third game, Kitty. No one really looking to try and make too much of a big mistake, because they know how much this series means to them. They know how much this game can mean in the grand scheme of them making it to playoffs.
Most definitely. I mean, OMG is just patiently waiting for that Baron buff to expire. 20 seconds left, and they are getting all the mates in mid lane. Fiora didn't get to do too much in the side lane, however, because this Ksante, I mean, with the Ocean Soul buff, he was not getting traded down. He was just kind of scrapping up all the minions. As he safely matches this Fiora, but once again, OMG has so much engaged potential when the flashes are available. I mean, Aki, he got extremely good focus for the side of OMG if they do want to go for someone like Photic. Although having the cleanse available, the CC and follow-up CC is going to be very dangerous.
Well, Elder Dragon, I should say, and Baron will be spawning at the same time, but I find the Elder probably a little bit stronger than the Baron, if I'm being totally honest. So it does feel like when you get Elder, you end the game. Now, 3 items onto Photic, and we come back to the age-old setup for him. It is the Photic show. It is about him making the most out of this Zeri pick. You're going to have so much damage, so much ways of kind of kiting around this fight. With the protection of the Lulu, you should be able to make this one work, but it's difficult to say the least to make sure that he just, you know, has everything available to him and doesn't get caught out, because there's so much that can catch him.
NIP just praying that this tier 1 tower in mid lane falls off so they open the map. Aki trying to get something done. However, Shirley's popped from Zhuo does mean they get to run away. But once again, NIP depending on this Fiora getting something done in the side, because you only have 1 minute left until these major objectives spawn.
Pout with the phase rush keeps himself alive, and very healthy Photic getting jumped on, but Aki just using it to gain control over this brush. So now, building up those chakrams. Abel pushing forward. Aki's invisible. Photic smelt something was off. No one pulls any triggers, no flashes, no summoners, but it's a very scary moment right now. XLB just hovering towards this bot side with the rest of his solo laners to make sure nobody gets engaged upon. A minute until both objectives spawn, Kitty. You can see OMG, they're looking for the Elder. They want to try and make that their priority.
Especially having complete vision control in this bottom side jungle. I mean, Invincible, you gotta fasten up the tempo, start hitting those towers before you reach a 5v5, because you're up against Ksante and Wukong. If this Zeri mispositions once, she is completely dead. And this Fiora isn't going to do too much, because team fighting Fiora is just never going to work. However, she already has a little bit of a bounty, surprising being a 0/0/0 Fiora.
Yeah, it's a lot of farm. It's about 50 or so farm being built up right now. The Ksante going to be sent to deal with her. Level 17 now, 2 levels ahead of Shanji. He's going to have to just give up that tower in that top side. So good pressure, good poise, good goal going into the back pockets of NIP. 23 seconds till Baron, 15 till Elder. OMG have solidified themselves in this pit. As XLB gets his old style stolen away from Hijacked. And OMG push themselves forward again.
Fiora is starting to group up with the rest of the team now, however. Like you said, Creme has that Vi ultimate available, so locking down Zeri is not going to be a problem, but can you follow up is the real question due to how...
This was a 2-minute setup from OMG. They were here from very early on. They wanted to get those pre-sale tickets to the Elder Drake concert. They were waiting for them to go on sale. They now gotta push in this mid wave. They know they've got the priority here. They can go back towards this. It would be risky to start off. But it looks like it's going to be straight up a trade. They're going to go for a trade right now. Baron for Elder. The Elder is going to be taken, so neither team wants to throw this game away.
Yeah, this is going to be a big flip for the side of NIP. I mean, you are up against an Elder Dragon, and it is going to be a very tough 1 minute remaining of the game. Can Fiora do anything with the Baron, though, is my question, because like we've been saying, this Fiora has so much side lane pressure, but if you ever opt into a 5v5, now with the Elder in OMG's hand, it's looking very tough.
They know that Zeri's not here. You don't have Photic. You can't defend this. That is just huge misplays coming out from NIP. They wanted to get those extra little items out to make sure they couldn't die, but I mean, you just lost, your bait just got broken open. This makes the Elder 100% more worth than the Baron.
Yeah, now Inhibitor is down, so Invincible, even if he does push out on the side, you're just going to get caught off because you have no mid lane priority. But however, Baron does last a little bit longer than Elder, so if they're able to just hold off for those few seconds, maybe the side of NIP is able to scrap something, because this area is getting extremely huge, but both ADCs are going to be extremely important.
It's a tough one. It's tough to know where everything's going to go right now. OMG, they feel like they're getting the better of the trades every single time. Gold dead even, but those Dragon Souls, the Elder Drake, it's all boiling up, Kitty. Little by little, you can see the unstoppable force and the unmovable object finally looking like they're going to be able to kind of meet paths.
Oh, PP God. There's a ward there, so Invincible's not going to overextend with the Baron recall. A really good idea from OMG. They are trying to shut down this Fiora before she gets to regroup with NIP, but Invincible smelled them from a mile away and just escaped by barely.
We'll wait again. No one really
coming back on this Fiora. They were just able to clear out the minions alongside Pout. But OMG in a huge winning position now.
So just want to say welcome back, Twitch. You died for a little bit there. I hope you're back. I hope you're hearing me right now.
Press the call is coming from are back.
They can't. I think they're in emote only.
Oh no!
I think they're in emote only. I don't know what. I don't know. I was gonna say like what's a mega lol. I guess that'll be a pretty good kappa.
I already know what I'm gonna say, but I'm not gonna say it.
No, don't say it.
I'm not gonna say it. It's going to get spammed and it's gonna take over the world. Twitch chat, I don't think Twitch chat is back.
Yeah, blink twice if it's back, but we'll see. As OMG push forward again into this space, they're gonna look to try and get on a fight to get on top of Creme, but he's not the target you need. It's all about Abel, who picks up the first kill. Invincible shall fall short of his name, and NIP are just trying to survive at this point. Photic gets jumped on. Abel has just got so much available to him. And there's just nothing you can do. He's 1v3. Finally goes down to GA, but the game is ending, Kitty. OMG survived the storm. They will lose Abel, but it does not matter. And they got themselves a 2-1 series win.
Abel's dead, but what is the trade-off? Your Nexus explodes, and we saw the happiness out of OMG as they cleaned the game up in a 2-1 fashion. Barely winning the third game, might I add. I mean, the Fiora was getting a little bit out of control, but decisive team fights, opting into those 4v5, seeing that Pout was on the other side of the map, allowed them to just grab this win around the 30-minute mark. Great things from OMG, and they secure that positive win rate.
Absolutely. Really, really well done there by OMG. And